Welcome to Marty's Tying Bench. Tonight I'm putting together Vice Squad kits, and tonight we're going to have fun with a little bit more complicated streamer. It's not too bad though, actually pretty straightforward. I call it a Baby Kim. It's a miniaturized version of a streamer called a Lil Kim, a fellow named Aykanian. This is tied on a 3x long size 8 hook. The cone is 3/16 of an inch, or if you're getting the Wapsi cones, it's the medium. And I'm going to put 5 turns of .030 lead on it. That's going to keep my cone in place and give me just a little bit of a surface on which to tie the last part of the flag. I'm using 140 denier thread. You can probably tie with any thread you want, but I like 140 because you can pull a little tighter on the marabou to secure it. And you want to use a light color. A light olive like this will help pearl flash show up a little better in a later step. Now, we're going to use an olive marabou feather for the tail. And you can peel it off the sides or use the tip. A lot of times what I do is cut the tip out and use that for the tail, and then use the other part for the wing. You want it to be a little longer than the hook shank, almost twice as long. I like to trim it before I tie it in. And I'm going to come back to the barb of the hook. There you go, that tail's a little bit longer than you would do on a normal woolly booger. And at this point on the larger versions you'd put in some flash on each side of the tail, but I'm going to dispense with that because the flash we put in later will achieve the same purpose. Now I've got some Palmer Chenille. This is the small. It's pearl. I'm just going to tie that in by the tip. Oops. Started to unravel. I need to get a little farther up onto the core. There we go. And to cover the abdomen, I'm going to use a strand of pearl flashabou type substance. You can use anything you want, but a shiny mirage or a pearl flashabou, multiple strands of crystal flash, anything you got. And I'm going to bring that up onto the lead a little bit. Now, having that light colored thread will let this body be a little bit shinier. And I know I'm not hitting every spot, I just want to get it mostly covered. Because I'm going to come through on top of that with the Palmer Chenille. Now the Palmer Chenille, you want to manipulate it a little bit so that when you make your first turn, everything is swept back. And I'm not going to make these turns right next to each other. I'm going to advance it a little bit each time, so it's going to take me about 5 turns to get to the front. And by spacing those turns, the reflection of that flashabou core will still show through. Now I'm going to go back to the olive marabou and install that one on top as a wing. And you see I've got it extending back maybe halfway down the tail. And if it's not dense enough, just get some more. But don't make it too full because I'm going to put a black marabou topping on it. Now the black's pretty dark, you don't need a lot of density with that, so get the density you want with the olive, and then any little pinch of black will give you this effect. Now there's a big ugly collar up front, but that's good. That'll make it easier for the next step. The next step is the same flashabou you wrapped for the body. We're going to install one strand of that on each side. Cut that to match the overall length. And see, I'll tie that in with quite a stub out there and then just fold it over and lock it in. I know that doesn't look neat, but it's going to get covered up by the next material. Now the next material is some sort of soft hackle. You can use schlappen, you can use big soft hackle. I'm going to use some coq de leon that's speckled. It's pretty cool. It's a big feather with fairly long fibers. I'm going to tie this one in by the tip. I'm making these wraps pretty tight because I want to be able to tug on this feather a little bit. Stretch it while I stroke those soft hackle feathers rearward. Get it all the way up to the cone. And it's okay if you get a little bit of that fluffy part in there. So that filled in that gap pretty good. The whip finish, you can get your thread wet with cement at this point. What I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm just going to tie a pair of whip finishes. There we go. Let's see how I can slick it back with wet fingers and give you an idea of what it's going to look like in the water. But that speckled shroud of soft hackle really sets this one off. You'll like it.